Hey man, am I driving okay?
I think we're parked, man.
Known for his cannabis-infused comedy and love for the flower, Tommy Chung has been an iconic figure within mainstream entertainment for years, with his unforgettable shows and characters like comedy duo Cheech and Chong. Tommy joins me to discuss his personal thoughts around cannabis culture from past to present, recent technologies in the space, and some surprising UFO stories to boot. Join us as we get rebelliously curious. Tommy, thank you for joining me on. Yes, thank you for joining me on Rebelliously Curious. So, the first thing I want to ask you, and which a lot of people probably do, but how did you get into the cannabis world? Like, what was your story getting into cannabis culture?
Excuse me. Well, I guess it started back when I was a kid. I got turned on to cannabis quite early. I was 17 at the time. But I also got turned on to bodybuilding at the same time. And I found out that bodybuilders, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, for instance, he won't drink soda, right, but he'll smoke pot. Right. And so I realized that it was going to hurt my bodybuilding efforts. And so I've been, smoking cannabis since 1958. And then when Cheech and I got together and started doing our comedy, that cannabis was the only thing that connected us with our audience, because when we started out, we started out in a strip club. So we had a lot of TNA jokes, a lot of adult humor. Right. But when we got down to LA, then we had to relate for the kids, the younger crowd. And the one thing that united everybody was cannabis. And so Cheech and I became known as the cannabis guys, the go-to guys. And then my son got involved because he started a bong company called Chong Glass. And I thought I was being smart, because I was in a movie called The Wash with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. Right. And in my character, I kind of could write my own dialogue in that. So I had this notion that I would I would give the cannabis away, but I would charge him for the bong, Right. And in the movie that worked great. But in real life, it was a bong that was illegal. And that's what I went to jail for.
Right, exactly. Can you talk to us about Operation Pipe Dream and then Operation Headhunter? Like, because you went to jail for a little bit, and you were also in jail with Jordan Belworth, which is the Wolf of Wall Street. So before we even get into that, can you tell us a little bit about why you went to jail, and then what Operation Pipe Dream was?
Well, like I said, what happened, Bush was going to war with Iraq, right, under false pretenses. And the Bush administration knew that. And so they're trying to get some diversion. And so back in the day when Nixon was going to war, illegally, he used the hippies, the anti-war people. And so we... and so I think a couple of things. Bush needed the distraction, and also the company was named Chong Glass. And so I think the Chinese name kind of set off alarms with the Bush people. And because everybody else in the glass business and the pot business, they got house arrest. I was the only one that was incarcerated. And I feel very strongly that, well, because our government is very racially motivated, you know,
Yes.
even to this day, you know, so many laws that are just racially obvious, you know, that they're racist laws, like pot was a racist law. So, I mean, actually, I was fighting the war on a couple of fronts. You know, it was a racial equality that I was looking for and still looking for, and the fact that cannabis turned into be a very accepted and highly regarded medicine. And so my fight isn't over. I'm still, you know, I didn't like the fact that they made it legally recreationally. See, that's another racist thing, you know, because as long as they can attack people for what they do, you know, for their pastime or for their medicine, you know, make that illegal. You know, then you got this racially motivated laws, and I've been fighting them all my life. You know?
Yeah, like the war on drugs for sure was part of that. I agree. More of an agenda around what Nixon was doing. So
Yeah,
where are you now? Right, exactly. And like there's over 2 million people that are incarcerated
yeah,
for cannabis still,
yeah.
which is insane. I know, and I applaud you for fighting that as well. So when we look at, then where do you stand though? Because now you do have a company that does operate within the legal above ground space. Where do you feel now that, because you're kind of part of that big corporation, you know,
Yeah.
that's still moving, how you must be kind of caught in between two machines right now. You know, you look
Not
at the
at all.
federal part. Okay, so where do you
Oh,
land with that? Yeah.
no, not at all. No, we're making
Okay, good.
inroads. You know,
Wonderful.
when they found out that pot helped people, little babies with epilepsy, you know, and then it helped people with depression, it helped people with all these diseases that they were peddling, and they're still peddling the dangerous opioids, you
Yep.
know, because and they're doing it under false pretenses. You know, they're those greedy people are, you know, the ones with the opioids, and I don't care what color you are. When you start feeding poison to the population, you know, it's wrong, and I know that, and so what I'm. It's not a fight, by the way. I don't believe in a fighting. Period. I follow this Jewish rabbi, the sayings of this Jewish rabbi. They call him Jesus. You know the guy. Uh,
I know. Yeah, Jesus. I do
yeah,
know
yeah,
Jesus is right.
yeah. But they got his name
Kind of
messed up.
do.
You
Kind
know.
of kind of an important figure.
Well, what they try to do, you know, actually it was the Romans that co-opted uh, uh, the rabbi's teachings, and then they de-Jewed him by proclaiming that he was God, and whereas Jesus always maintained he was just a son of God, like we all are, you know, and he wasn't no more of God than you and I are, you know, and we all are. Uh, I just, cannabis has always opened my eyes to the truth, and that's why when I go to the pot stores, you know, and sell and everything, I meet the nicest people because they're all. Pot is like a truth serum. When you smoke pot, you blurt out things that are very truthful, and you laugh at things that at one time you would be going, oh, you know, that's terrible. But then when you see the truth behind everything, that's why pot really promoted humor for Cheech and Chong. You know,
So cerebral. Yeah.
yeah, because you take alcohol, it'll help for a little while, and then it'll reverse its course. You know, you'll be happy, and then all of a sudden you get really angry or bitter, or because alcohol is a poison, and whereas pot is a medicine, and the higher you get, that's why they find you know, there's no downside, because if you get too high, you fall asleep. You know, that's it, and and I've known that, and I've been working on that. And so what I've been trying to do now is again, not fighting. I don't want to fight anybody, because we get more done if you, what do you call it? If you humor. I love the word humoring, humor him, humor her. I love the word humor, because humor also dismantles all the animosities, all the hate, because hate really is ignorance, and you can't do anything when you're caught up with ignorance. And so what I've been doing, and non-violence too. There again, it's the teachings of the rabbi I was telling you about, because the turn the other cheek. You have no idea, or people have no idea how powerful that is. That's the most powerful thing you can do, because what you do when you turn the other cheek, you realize that we are all operating under a higher power, and that the truth, if you follow the truth, the rewards are great. I tell people now, when I do a lot of cameos in that, and they like my shout outs, and I tell people now that life is like a game. Life is a game. And the trick is, if you follow the rules, which the 10 Commandments, or any religion, you take any religion and take out all the personal stuff and keep it holy. All the religions follow the same God. Every one of them say, there's only one God. And if they all say that, and they all agree, then we can all agree there's only one God. And the other thing, and it's written in all the holy books, is eternity. We are eternal beings. We will always be here, because what we really are, we're spirit. And what spirit is energy. And energy never disappears. Energy just changes form, you see. And so when we die, for instance, our body dies because it's old. We need and then we get a new one. And so I've been going on this this, what do you call it, crusade, and it wasn't of my doing. I didn't arrange for me to go to jail or to do anything, to become the spokesperson that I've become. Right. But now that I have become that, and because I follow the rules, and that's what I said, it's very simple. The rules are very simple. 10 Commandments, that's basically all the rules are. And you follow them, you will be rewarded. And I'm a great example of that, because I follow them and my rewards are incredible.
Yeah, I agree. And having a positive outlook on the change where cannabis is going from this, counterculture to mainstream. So what was that catalyst moment for you when you knew that, like, obviously legalization would be one of them, but what was that moment in history and culture that you went, oh, like, people are really catching on to this, and this might be something that will go embedded into the mainstream identity from years to come? Like, do you have a moment where you felt that?
They're more of a series of moments.
Yeah, even a few. You can tell me a few of those series of moments.
Yeah, well, the first is when I was born. I was born in a manger, by the way.
Oh, were you?
Not born in
I
a
am
manger.
not surprised, Tommy.
Listen,
I am
but
not surprised.
Not born in a manger, but I lived in a manger. My mother had me in the hospital, and then they moved out to north of Edmonton to a turkey farm that my dad, had a homestead, but he bought, I guess he bought no, he was given the homestead, but the only structure on the homestead was an old chicken barn where they raised chickens. It was a manger. It was like a barn. And so they cleaned it out. You scrubbed it down, and that's where we lived for a while, in a manger. And then my dad, he was not a farmer. He was a beautiful. He was all man. he was not very tall. He was 5'3", but he was an ex-football player, fighter at one time. You know, he's very tough, and he was a man's man, and he was Chinese, but he was raised more Canadian than anything, and so he had all white friends, Canadian friends, and had he been Chinese, I wouldn't be living in a manger for sure. but we moved when I think I was a few months old, on a hay wagon drawn by a horse, and we had all our belongings on this hay wagon, and then we moved into the city. I mean, these are stories my mother told me.
Right.
And so I've been, this is my daughter. Hi,
It's
Ray.
fertilizer, Dad.
Come and say hi. This is my daughter.
Hi.
How are
Hi.
you?
Good. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the
Nice.
interview. I'm
Thank
also
you.
a fellow.
Sorry to
I'm a
interrupt.
fellow. No, it's okay. I'm a fellow Canadian as well. So I'm just happy
She's
to
a
see
fellow
you.
Canadian.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
I was
yes.
just bringing my dad some fertilizer that my compost makes.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Don't
That's
drink
a good
this.
daughter.
You will regret it.
See, she brings me the good shit.
I know.
That's right. That's right. That's what good daughters are all about. Yeah.
I know, right? Nice
Right.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
So what happened with my life? It's
Yeah,
my
those
earliest
catalyst
training.
moments for you, Tommy, when
Well,
you were like,
there were so
when did
many.
when did like where you knew that when did you know that it would be mainstream? Like, did you, like, or when did you have that moment where you're like, this is the turning point of like, is there any of them? Even just like you
Well-
guys doing Cheech and Chong is a huge turning point as well.
Oh, sure. Well, the beginning, it was, first of all, I got turned on to, when you grow up poor, the only reason you have to dress, wear your good clothes,
Yeah.
is to go to church. That's the only, when you're dirt poor like we were. And so my mother sent us to Sunday school, and I loved it. I loved the stories. And so I got into it. And then when I was 8 years old, we went to a summer camp, church summer camp, and then I learned more, and I got baptized and the whole thing. And I became a student of the teachings, like I said, of this the Jewish rabbi, and I got into that. I think those were the turning points. For me.
For you. Okay. For culturally wise, that's an interesting that you took a personal perspective, and rightfully so, and when those turning points for you, when you felt that cannabis started to move into the mainstream. Can I ask you about technology and your thoughts around, like your thoughts around the progression of technology then, like, bongs and pipes, we'll consider that tech, low tech, and then where we're going now with vaping. Do you think this is positive or if it's negative, and what have you seen over the years for this technology change?
Well, isn't it funny? It's called delivery system.
Right.
It's how you deliver the drug into the body.
Right.
That's basically all you're doing. And from the beginning of time, it was smoke. It was, they've been smoking weed forever. That was the delivery system, or drinking or eating it, I'm totally amazed and gratified, and I love all the technology. Like, I've heard people talk, bad things about AI, artificial intelligence. I think that's what got us where we are now. And like, it's a cell phone. I mean, it wasn't too long ago in my lifetime, in your lifetime too, where if we wanted to phone somebody, we had to go to a little booth where it had a little payphone, and then you had to put money.
I remember those.
You had to put money in. And then you had and in the early stages, you had to talk to an operator, and then eventually you found who you were looking for. Look at where we are at now. We're at a point where, like, when people say to me, how are you managing the lockdown? I said, I'm having the best time of my life, because I'm a movie maker too, I'm a filmmaker, and all I do every night is watch film after film after film. And if I don't like one, I turn it off. And, you know, I'm not in a movie theater where I'm stuck. You know, I got my phone. If I don't like it, I turn it off. Or even if the phone messes up, I turn it off and then I turn it on again and then it corrects itself. So I'm looking, I think the new technology is opening up the knowledge that we've always had on this planet. It's always been here. The ability to build computers have always been here. And there's probably been some civilizations that had advanced technology that we're enjoying now, you know. So I marvel at everything. You know, I'm one of those guys, like I said, I'm so connected in so many ways, especially spiritually, because that's the answer. And all these religions and everything else, and the Bible and everything else. Well, the Bible, there is a reason why the Bible is the #1 bestseller of all times, because it is really a book of fiction with reality sprinkled in there, so that the ones that can see, the ones that can understand, will understand the messages that are there. You know, that's why people are still studying the Bible now, you know, trying to get to those messages. And now we got ability like the phone. Isn't it crazy? Today
we can have these conversations now, and we can talk about it's unbelievable from distance and then being really great quality. I want to ask you too about potency, you know, because the potency has changed so much in cannabis. From what I know, and saying
that's exactly it.
And why is the potency changing so much? Is it because of part of legalization? Is it part of demand? You know, and for you, for your own experiences in the past, you know, you were probably smoking cannabis that was less potent than it is now. So where have you kind of seen that shift over time?
Well, again, that's fallacy. That's like
why do you say
tales.
that? Yeah. Why do you say it's fallacy?
Because the plant that we have today compared to the plant that we had 10 million years ago is the same plant. There's no difference.
Now, is it because they're crossing streams and they're breeding and, you know, and
they've done all that. All that has been done back in the day. I mean, look at the pyramids. Look at, you go to South America, look at all the pyramids, look at the civilizations that are past. I mean, to build, you know, I love the way humans go, oh, it must have been aliens. You know, it sounds like a father.
Well, I'm going to ask this too, because our UFO communities, now that we're going to go and we're going to open up a can of worms now, Tommy, but we have a huge UFO community in the debrief as well. So now that you've said it, I'm going to 100% ask you your opinion on UFOs if I can.
Okay.
We're going to segue a little bit off cannabis and go right to UFOs.
I'll tell you.
What are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
Think about it. AI enabled us to have drones. We send a drone to Mars. So don't you think that any UFO you see are really a drone?
100%. It could be like it's, and we talk about that a lot at the debrief. Yes. And we speak about tons of different options and theories of what, you know, what UAPs could be. Yeah.
They're drones, obviously. And where the drones come from? Another dimension, probably, you know, because if you're an advanced civilization like we are, okay, there's no human on Mars now, because a human would be useless on Mars, you know. Just like you send a human to space, he's in there and he's weightless. The only thing they're going to go, oh, look at me, I can fly, you know. We need computers to go up there. We need people we need instruments to measure the temperatures, all
and
that
we are.
stuff.
Avi Loeb, actually from Harvard, he's a theoretical physicist, is actually working on the Galileo project. And we're going to be looking at measuring, artifacts that are going to be coming in through space, like a Oumuamua, along with then hopefully getting better pictures of UFOs. So
and by the
we're
way,
close. We're close. Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking at other things. Everybody always looks at the big picture of what's in front of our eyes, okay?
Yeah.
But this pandemic that shut us down, shut the whole world down, the whole earth down, is microscopic. It is almost invisible. You need a microscope, a powerful microscope, to see the little germs that are shutting down the human race.
So can I ask you then, Tommy, because we're going way off cannabis, but I'm okay with that.
Sure,
We'll go back.
sure.
We'll go back to it. Have you ever seen a UFO yourself?
Yes, I have.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it looked like a drone.
Really?
It looked like I was
when
in,
was that?
I was in British Columbia. I was visiting, the family was visiting relatives, and I went into the woods, and I looked up, and there was this bright object. It wasn't a sun or the stars or anything else. It obviously was like a ball of light, looked like a flying saucer, and it was there for 2 days. It hovered, but it was there for 2 days.
Do you have any video footage or photos of
Oh,
these?
no, there was no video back then,
Right,
And,
or
but-
just or
and
picture,
then,
I should say. Yeah.
well, let me tell you another time. I was on my roof. I was about 15. Yeah, I was about 15 years old, 15, 16 years old. I used to lay on my roof in Calgary because there was very little city lights, and the
Right.
stars were like right hanging down. In Canada, sometimes the stars are so bright, you see everything. And I was laying there looking at the stars, and all of a sudden I saw a fleet of aircrafts or whatever coming. I guess they were satellites or like that, because they came in formation, and then they went right overhead, and then but they were uniform and in formation. So,
Wow.
it was probably, one of the American military or some, we've had satellites long before they told us about it.
100%. Now the question is, I'll go back to cannabis. Were you smoking cannabis when you saw them?
No,
Okay.
no, I wasn't.
Okay. You have to ask if you were high or not. It's only fair.
No.
Yeah.
The cannabis experience, actually, the cannabis really just helped me with my writing, my poetry, and my music.
Yeah.
What really changed me spiritually was LSD, acid.
Interesting.
I did acid back when it was called Try This.
Right. Right. And now you're going to bring me into some other questions too, around like psilocybin and legalization, because you're getting other countries and states that are legalizing, and other countries legalizing drugs, or decriminalizing drugs, I should say. So where's your thoughts on now cannabis? Hopefully we'll move into a federal level conversation, and we can talk about that too. But where do you see then when you're talking about LSD and other drugs, where is that going to sit within the American space? I was going to say Canadian, about the American space and about legalization. Where do you feel that's going to happen at some point in time, or not in the next, not in the next 10 years? Yeah.
There's no reason to wait. I mean, hippies don't wait. You don't have a hippie. You got a hippie, he's going to try everything. And basically the world is full of hippies now. Young, old, or they're in suits or whatever. But the one thing about the psychedelics and marijuana, it opens the mind. It opens the mind, and we get away from this uniform thing. See, back in the day, people of power, they used churches to control the people, the masses, to get the message out to this is what we want you to do. See, back after, when Jesus was executed.
I might be getting some hate mail now.
Okay. No, I don't care.
I know.
No,
Go on.
The churches basically were used when they co-opted. See, Jesus would never belong to a church. Jesus was not a Christian. Jesus was a rebel. If anything else, he was a revolutionary. And he was also, he was murdered because he was a revolutionary, because he went against the state. He went against their teach. You know, they want everybody to bow to the state like they do now, every place. And he said, no, there's only one God, and you have to, and the God that I'm talking about, he's not an object in the sky, you know, he's inside us. We are a part of God, and everything alive is a part of God, and there's no, every grain of sand on this earth is a part of God. So there's no, you can't escape that part, you know, that kind of thinking. You can't separate it.
So do you look
And
at
so
them?
what I'm saying, what cannabis does is open the mind. And when the mind is open, the possibilities are endless.
But if we're going to talk about religion and cannabis, do you look at cannabis being that connection to religion to you? And was cannabis that way that brought you into religion then? Because I would think that it might bring you into the science world as well, in a combination of both. Like,
You
or
can't
has it
separate.
done that? No,
Yeah,
you
can.
you can be one and separated depending on who's viewing it. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
No, the thing is, the story of creation was written. It's written in the Bible. You know, it's called eternity. See, we are eternal beings. Now, like there's a kumquat tree in my yard here. It's an eternal tree. No,
Beautiful tree.
but it has seeds and fruit. And every piece of fruit, there are millions of them, has a seed. And in that seed, there's another million or so. There's one kumquat tree, but there's millions of seeds. I'm telling you, the cannabis has opened the minds. And when you open, say, my mind, for instance, I right now, you know, using cannabis, we're selling it. We got my brand out there. I'm selling CBD, and it's not a, it's a thing that's been brewing for years and years and years. You know, the medical part. I think our future, first of all, we repeat. Earth is a school. We're in school. You're in school. I'm in school. We're learning whatever we're doing at the time. That's our curriculum. And when we're finished with this class, we move on to the next class and the next class. And sometimes we go back to repeat a class, like you do, to get through higher education. And I like that term too.
I do too. And the thing about cannabis is that there wasn't a lot of research done. Now we are, which is really great. And there's a lot of science and tech and even psychology going around using cannabis for treating, medical issues or mental health issues, tons of different things that are being looked at right now of possibilities that they can use cannabis. Have you used anything personally, recreationally or medically to be able to help that? And where do you see that research going in the future?
Well, it's incredible. I had prostate cancer,
right?
And then, luckily or unluckily, I got rectal cancer from the mishandling of the prostate cancer. Because what they did a biopsy, and you should never do a biopsy, because if it looks like you got cancer, you got cancer. When you do a biopsy, you're taking that cancer and you're taking it out of the body, but as you take it out of the body, it's microscopic, and so you might sprinkle a little bit around the other parts. So anyway, when I was healing, now I turned down my son. Actually, we had some cannabis nut cases come by and say, oh, you can beat your prostate cancer. All you have to do is do this cannabis and do this kind of Rick Simpson oil and all that stuff, And my son drove him away. He said, get out of here. We found the best doctor we could find. And we went, Western medicine all the way. I got my operation. But healing, I started injecting CBD oil right into my body. that helped the healing. And what happens with the healing, this is not medical by any means, but what happens with cannabis, because it is so close to the spiritual world, it calms the body. It calms us down. That's called the high. You know, when you get high, you're getting calm. It's not you're getting crazy like alcohol. You're calming down. That's why you can stay in the present so long. You can listen to music and all of a sudden that music sounds forever, or watch a movie and then you see all sorts of things, but it calms the body down. And when the body is calm, the immune system kicks in. The immune system can't kick in if the body's agitated in any way, fight or flight. So if you're worried or if you're sick or if you're hurting in pain or anything else, that's why they want to get rid of the pain, is so the body can heal itself. That's why when animals get sick, they hibernate. They go away and they just lay there and hibernate. You know, when they get poisoned or whatever, they go there and let the body's immune system take over. That's what, this is not medical observation, it's my own observation, that when the body is calm, the immune system kicks in, and you get these miraculous cures. Because that's what prayer does, by the way. Prayer, when you pray, you connect right away with a higher power. And once you connect there, there's a calmness that comes over the body. You can see people in church and everything, they get so ecstatic with that feeling of calmness, and it's serenity. And that's what you get calmed down. Because when you're praying, all you're really doing is talking to yourself, you know. That's all you're doing.
Fair enough.
And so whatever you ask, so when you're talking to yourself, and if you ask the wrong thing, if you ask to hurt somebody, for instance, or kill them or something like that, that doesn't work. Black magic, it can work, but in the spiritual world, the only thing, again, your body's equipped with everything it needs to heal itself, and that is the calmness. That's what cannabis does.
And I think that is a great way to end this as well, Tommy. Thank you so much. I always say to everybody, thank you for being rebelliously curious with me. And you're such a delight. And I'm just happy that you're still an activist and you're still working in the cannabis community and helping with legislation and changing things. It's really great to see that. So
oh yeah. And by the way, I'm one of those guys that I have a tendency to let you get excited. Like people get excited because of the fact they meet me or Cheech, and what we've done for them. And what we've done for them and the world really is to laugh at our stupidity, because that's all we know. That's what comedy is.